All right. What's up, everybody? Happy Thursday. Happy Leadership Thursday. Great to have you here on the PTN Daily Show. I am Dr. Jeff Moore, currently serving as the CEO of ICE, and always thrilled to be here on these Thursdays that are not only Leadership Thursdays, they are Gut Check Thursdays. So let's jump right into the workout. Let's talk about what we're going to suffer through as a group this weekend or today, if you can get it in on actual Thursday. It's going to be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So ascending, row, kettlebell swing, and those are going to be Americans, 53-35. Okay, so give that some thought. That is going to be pretty grippy. So we're going to be yanking 10 cals on the rower. You're going to pop off, rock your 10 American swings, back to 20 calories in the rower. You're going to be getting up 40, 50 calories in the rower. You're going to be spending a few minutes on there really getting after it and then having to grab that relatively heavy kettlebell. I don't really have a time guess in my head right now, but I think it's going to be a wonderful burner. So please, if you do that workout, tag Ice Physio, hashtag Ice Train. Can't wait to watch you all get after it this week on Gut Check Thursday. As far as upcoming courses, the one thing I want to highlight this week is virtual ICE because it only opens once a quarter. So remember, that's every week that we have a session, and we do 3 ICE faculty, and then we have a special guest every month. So you'll have 3 ICE faculty and a special guest. We've had some incredible ones lately. We had Jessica Schwartz on talking concussion. We had Jake Lockhart on from Mayhem talking habit formation, pursuit of excellence. And then you have 3 ICE faculty presenting things that are a little bit outside of the box that don't make it into our organized formal courses that are wonderful, incorporating more cases, more integration concepts. So if you want to hang out with us every week, jump into that. It's $29 a month. You can watch all the past episodes. They're all recorded. I run that every Tuesday, so I record every episode. We get it up the next day with the slides. You can watch it whenever, as many times as you want. It's just a wonderful ongoing community to learn a little bit every week, and it's 24 CEUs. If you hang out for the whole year, you get 24 CEUs. So it's only open for a couple more days, and then we close it down again for the quarter. So if you want to jump into virtual ICE and hang out with us every Tuesday evening, please do. We would love to have you. All right, team. It's Leadership Thursday, and I want to talk about saying the thing. And I want to start by saying that I will die on the hill that says that early, transparent communication solves 90% of cultural problems. And it is the number one source, a lack of it is the number one source of cultural disease and erosion. There's no doubt in my mind over all the years that that statement is true. Transparent, early, almost recklessly, or at least seemingly reckless transparency is the eventual or is the ultimate sort of source of cultural fix. Even better yet, if you get to it early, preventing that cultural erosion. Reflect on this for me before we jump into it and talk about why that is and maybe some challenges that prevent us from doing it. Reflect on your willingness and your ability to shoot straight on the following questions from your colleagues, from your boss, from your employee, whatever, people in your company, people that you're working with every day. How did I do? Right? We commonly get this. How did I do with that patient, with that presentation, with that event? How did I do? Do you think I'll be able to get that position? Do you think I'll move up? Do you see me moving forward in that space? Should I try blank? Am I a good fit for that? What do you think about partnering with blank? So-and-so, this company, this person. Was that the right decision I made? Do you mind if when I say reflect on your ability to shoot straight on these questions, what I mean is how close is what you say in response to your actual truth? Are they a perfect match? When you respond to those questions, how close is what you say to what you were actually thinking? And I say willingness and ability because to get those two things really closely lined up, dare I even say in some cases perfect, like actually saying exactly what you're thinking, it is both a willingness and it is an ability. It's a willingness because you know there's some emotional ramifications, right? If you're going to actually say what you're thinking, if you're going to tell the truth and shoot it straight, there is going to be an array of emotions on the other side, and you have to have a willingness to generate those. I say ability because Our ego does not want you to do this. So the moment you're asked these questions, you start playing mental games with how should I frame this, right? Are they really ready to hear act? You're immediately, and I mean immediately, playing these mental gymnastics. Can you prevent yourself from doing that? Can you exercise the mental discipline that doesn't allow those games to begin and thus facilitates your actual shooting straight upon reply? It is a willingness, it is an ability. Where are you? Where are you actually? Like, think about when somebody asks these questions. How did I do? How closely does what you say reflect what you think? The closer you can get those, the better you can prevent cultural decay, the more you can fortify cultural strength. Let's talk about why. So what is it actually when you say the thing, when you just say it, here's what I'm thinking. You asked, right? For better or worse, here it is. Plain speak. What does it do? Number one, it avoids the chance of the thought. Because when someone asks you that, your brain starts rolling, right? It avoids the chance of that thought collecting any negative energy. Here's a problem with humans. Here's a problem with ego. Most of our mechanisms most of our internal thought mechanisms are meant to keep us safe, are meant to identify threat. So the longer we hold on to something, the more we begin to shape it in a way that probably suits us, that is self-protective. But the more we do that, the more it strays from the actual truth. But that's what happens. And it begins to happen really, really quickly. So the longer you retain it, the more it begins to bend. The more your truth changes. Stories evolve, right? We know that when you're playing the game of telephone, that message is most accurate right out of the gates, right? The first person that says it. The more you think, the more you reflect, the more you consider, heaven forbid, the more you tell somebody else, this is when it really gets toxic and goes downhill. The more that story changes. You've got self-protective mechanisms going on. And just simply with time and human error, the evolution of the story is now adapting, and usually not for good, but certainly away from truth. And that's the problem. Number three, on the other party side, on the person who asked, the person who came to you for advice, for counsel, to bounce something off of you, it avoids the toxic wonder on their side of whether or not you shared your full truth. You can really offload other people's RAM if you can behave in a way consistently that makes them say things like, hey, if he thought it, he would have said it. He's that kind of a person. She's that kind of a person. I don't need to wonder if there was something else they were going to say, because historically and consistently, if they were thinking it, they would have said it. Do you realize what that unlocks in the people you work with? Do you realize how much RAM that's usually taking up in companies? People wondering, did this person actually mean this? Or did that person really not say it because of this? What if you got rid in one fell swoop of all of that, and all of that energy got productive? Think of what that does to the organization. It enables transparent, reckless communication. It enables early action. In crisis, timing is everything. If you give it the full truth right out of the gates, hey, this just happened. What are your thoughts? Hey, let me tell you my thoughts, right? Right out of the gates, oftentimes that person, if need be, can backpedal right there and very quickly course correct, oftentimes circumventing a whole issue from catapulting and snowballing. Because now whoever they engaged with, they can reach back out and say, oh, you know what? I touched base. That's actually not going to work. Or I shouldn't have said it like that. And all of a sudden, that whole thing that was going to collect momentum, that was going to hit you months from now and cost massive resources and way deeper emotional scarring, that all got truncated because you so quickly told the truth that person was able to turn and say, oh gosh, hold on, right? Turn and tell the other person, ooh, that was my bad. I miscalculated. Can we go this direction instead? Team, timing is everything. It's why early truth is everything. It lets people, early transparent communication, lets people organize themselves in subcultures inside the larger organization that truly fit them. We have talked so much about culture on Leadership Thursday. Truth allows good decision making upon how you organize those subcultures. And we're all in bigger parts of bigger companies, but inside of that, on a day to day basis, you're certainly kind of choosing your team, who you're doing little projects with, who you're doing case reviews with. Inside of a bigger team, you're all creating smaller teams. That's a very healthy thing. But telling the truth and letting people know who you really are and what you really believe, that allows them to choose whether or not you're truly a great, authentic teammate for them. If your energies work well together. But if you're always protecting yourself and trying to manipulate or manufacture how you come off to different people to preserve different emotional responses, etc., you're just confusing people. They don't know if you're really a good fit because they've never really seen you. Down the road, that has consequences. People not really knowing who you are and what you believe, sure, it might create short-term comfort, it might avoid short-term emotional response, but it's going to be devastating if people say, hey, from what I've seen out of you so far, I think we'd be a great fit for this project, when in reality, that's not at all true. You don't even believe in that project. It allows people, if you're actually yourself, if you say what you're thinking, it allows people to say, that person's going to be a great co-pilot for me, or this doesn't make any sense at all. So your smaller teams inside your bigger team are better refined when you're being authentic, stating your truth and stating it early. Maybe most importantly, this preserves your mental health. Saying the thing, saying it early, saying without ruminating. Team, once it's out there, it's literally out, right? It's off your bandwidth. It's out of your mind, out of your soul, however you want to look at it. Once you say it, it's out. You're not at home wondering about it. After work, you're not, I wonder if I should have said it differently. There was no differently. There was just the truth, right? And you said as close to the truth as you possibly could. It's out there now. And now we're working with it. Now it's actionable. Now everybody knows. It's when you hold things in, when you carry that with you, when it begins to morph and begins to actually change. Now you're not even totally sure what the truth is. It's those things that wear you down. It's certainly those things that create an unfortunate response when it does come out. But those things weigh you down. So getting that out and getting it out early is wonderful for your mental health. Team, I could sit here all day and talk about the ramifications, positive and negative, on whether or not you have that ability and that willingness to be recklessly transparent and immediately. Those are all positive sequelae. But let me tell you some of the concerns I get. So I talk about this with groups all the time. Some of the concerns I get are as following, and I want to address at least a few of the big ones. Number one, but I'm going to sound like I'm complaining all the time. People say, if I actually say the truth, right, what we tend to in society make things sound a little nicer than maybe they actually are. So if I don't do that, I'm going to sound like I'm complaining all the time. That is not the case, because you're not just going to share your truth about negative things. You're going to do it about positive things. You're going to be as recklessly transparent about the positive. So what actually happens is an organic, authentic feedback sandwich, because you're just telling the truth always. Sometimes, yeah, it's going to be a little more negative than people are used to or expecting, but it's going to be a bit more positive than people were used to or expecting, because it's simply flowing straight from you. Unless you're actually in a really bad environment, which hopefully a lot of you aren't, right? You're going to be giving people truth on both sides. So it's going to wind up, the net of that is going to be this wonderful organic feedback sandwich that you don't have to think about how to create. You're just doing it because you're telling the truth. Number two, the biggest one by far, but I'm going to hurt their feelings. Team, at some point, we have to care more about the authenticity of our working relationships than we do about people's short-term feelings. If we're going to build great things, we have to get to that point. If we're going to build great teams, we have to have enough respect for the other person that we know that they deserve the truth, even if there's going to be short-term negative emotional ramifications. That we absolutely have to get to that point. And let me tell you a little bit firmer truth if we're talking about telling the truth. In many cases, it isn't their feelings that we're worried about. We tell ourselves that story. That one certainly is ego friendly. It's not the truth though. What you're really worried about is them being upset with you. That's the actual truth. It's a people pleasing problem. It's a you problem that you disguise as a them problem. You're saying, but I don't want to hurt their feelings. Yeah, maybe. But if you dive deeper, what you really don't want is them upset with you. It's the other thing. It's a you issue. And team, you're not going to believe this, but for rep number 7,412, it doesn't get to be about you. If we're pursuing greatness in development of teams, relationships, and products, it doesn't get to be about you. You have to be willing to have somebody short term upset with you to long term say, hey, thanks for sharing that. That must have been tough. I didn't want to hear it when you said it, but thanks. You need to be, that needs to matter more. That long term authenticity of your working relationship, that has to trump feelings. I'll often hear this. Other people might overhear, and it could be embarrassing for that person. That one actually does have legs, and that's where you do have to qualify. Maybe immediately isn't always the right case. I don't think you should be walking out into a busy gym and telling someone they really dropped the ball on something in front of 14 other people. There's no reason for that. I do say earlier is better, but earlier is reasonably better, right? So I think a great talking point here is that there should be touch points built into your days, into your weeks. Those short staff meetings should be full of this stuff. Hey, Michelle, I wanted to mention something the other day. It wasn't the right time to say it, but I do need to say it now. I certainly don't want to hang on to it any longer. Here's how I felt. Right? You should be throwing out, hey, you crushed this. I didn't say it right then, but I want to make sure everybody knows how much you crushed it. Those things should be baked into your formal meeting touch points, whether those are staff meetings every week, whether you have a little roundup in the morning. Don't miss those regular opportunities to evoke transparency, to build authenticity, to say the thing. Positive, negative, both. It isn't always appropriate right then. When it is, do it. Right? If you can beat that mental waterfall that's about to start, those self-defense mechanisms, the alteration of that story, making up things that aren't even actually a part of it. If you can beat that by being immediate, reflexive, do it. But no matter what, do it as soon as possible. Team, say the thing. Certainly, once you're wondering, should I say the thing? You should have said it a long time ago, but definitely say it now. The point is, say the thing. It is the thing. It is the element that most cultures can't get right because we've gotten too used to comfort. We've gotten too used to ego defenses. We've gotten too used to feelings winning and truth losing. Unfortunately, that's why most teams are toxic. It's why I shouldn't say most, but certainly many, and certainly very few are exceptional. And this is why. There is an ability it requires. There is a willingness it requires. Get reps today. Get a rep. When somebody says it and you're like, oh, what I should say, just say the thing. Just say it right now. I promise once it's out there, actionable truth is the underpinning of great culture. Make it happen. PTOnice.com team. Thanks for being here on Leadership Thursday. Get after Gut Check Thursday, and I'll see you next week.